Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. I'm just going to give us a couple seconds to get started before we go. Pam and Alan, thank you for joining me today. How are you guys feeling?
Doing great today. How about you?
I am good.
Wonderful.
Same here. It's a beautiful sunny day in Denver.
Yeah, we're all located in Denver this time, which is fun. Awesome. Well, we're about a minute in, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. As if anybody has any questions, just a reminder, please feel free to comment on this video. We will see your questions come through that way, and we'll be happy to address those as they come up, or later on at the end of the webinar when we do a short Q&A. So please feel free to ask us your questions as we go, and we will do our best. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about tech talent career growth. Again, this webinar is designed for our technical recruiter audience, as well as TA leaders, HR leaders, hiring managers, anybody who is on the hiring side of the tech talent search. And we're going to be talking about tech professional sentiments, a little bit about HR professional sentiments, and how that is impacting the career growth trajectory of tech professionals today, how they're feeling about it, and what it is that they are looking to do in the next year. So we have a really exciting discussion ahead of us. Pam and Alan are some great experts to have. So I'm going to introduce them real quickly. So Pam and Alan are excellent product leaders on both sides of the Dice platform. As some of you may know, Dice is a hiring website for tech talent. We specialize specifically in specialized tech talent. We serve tech professionals who are seeking jobs, but we also serve HR professionals who are looking to find that talent and fill roles. So Pam and Alan, I'd love for you guys each to give yourselves just a brief introduction to get the audience a chance to get to know you a little bit.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm located in Denver, Colorado. I have been a hiring manager for over a decade, and I've been working in the HR tech space specifically for over 5 years now. So really excited to chat with you today about what we've learned as we've dug in with what technologists are looking for, and also understanding your unique needs, finding those right technologists with very limited timeframes as well.
Thanks. And I'm really consider myself a tech professional and have been in this space for over 20 years and really a part of the DICE community, along with the more than 7 million tech professionals that we have engaged over the course of DICE. And have done extensive research during my time here at DHI and DICE on tech professionals, and to bring that continuously to our roadmap and how do we innovate and provide the best experience and ways to engage our tech professionals.
Awesome. Great. So today I'll just give you guys a brief overview of what we're going to be chatting about today. So we do have a lot of data for you straight out of our very recent tech sentiment report. And then we're going to go into a discussion with Pam and Alan where they will talk about their specific expertise, and then we will end with a quick Q&A. So a little bit about the tech sentiment report. I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable with where all of this data is coming from, and so you feel that you can trust it. We put a lot of pride into making sure that our survey data comes from a really good source. So we conducted this survey in the summer of 2024. We surveyed about 520 tech professionals and compiled that into a report covering anything from how they feel about remote work, how they feel about AI, what they're looking to do with their careers next year, whether or not that they have been affected by layoffs and things like that. We also survey HR professionals and get their side of the story as well. And the full report is available right now. We'll put a link in the chat. I highly encourage you to go look at it. We are specifically going to be talking today about one chapter of the report, but there's a lot more data available to you to access it and see, and to get a bigger sense of what is going on in the tech talent market right now. But yeah, so I'll start off, we're going to start off by talking a little bit about the confidence that tech professionals have in the job market right now. So only 4 in 10 tech professionals express that they feel confident in finding a new role that meets their expectations this year. That's about 40%. That's lower than it has been in past years. We believe that this is likely due to a lot of high-profile layoffs that have absolutely, I mean, everyone is sort of aware of what the tech talent market looks like. It's definitely an uncertain market for them, and they are feeling that lower confidence. However, 67% of tech professionals are considering a role change in 2024, which is up from 60% in 2023. So despite the fact that tech professionals are feeling less confident about getting a new role, more of them are interested in finding one and plan to do so. So that says a little bit about just a sense of dissatisfaction and kind of, I think it's been a couple years of a frustrating tech job market, and I think some of them are, for lack of a better term, just fed up with it and are just going to try and get a new role anyway. So we're probably looking at a certain amount of turnover and change in 2025 as this takes effect. Another thing that is interesting is that tech professionals that are actively job seeking has increased 21% since last year. So again, if you're a recruiter in the hiring space, or if you're looking for tech professionals to fill your roles, there are 21% more tech professionals on the job market right now than there were last year. And keeping that in mind, that there's there's just a lot of talent floating around looking for a new role. And this speaks to tech professionals who are actively in roles and who are job seeking. So keeping that in mind as well. We have 5 main reasons for why tech professionals are likely to change in the next year. The number 1 reason is that they are seeking higher compensation. They're also looking for more responsibility and greater professional development. They want to have better benefits. They want to gain greater job stability, and they're looking for better leadership. Pam and Alan, I'm curious if either of you guys have anything to add to this this slide.
I think one thing we've seen is, as we looked at our annual salary report that we put out in the beginning of each year, is we saw salary really stagnate in 2023 compared to 2022. And so I think that's not surprising that seeking higher compensation is a key reason that people are looking. And especially when we also look at the economic impacts of inflation that we've seen this year, the take home with flat salaries and inflation, that take home pay has gone down. So it's really trying to figure out what's really gonna be where you're looking for, and also looking for that growth. And again, in a market where we aren't seeing as many job postings and we have seen a little bit more layoffs than we have historically, how do we find greater stability? So I think those are definitely some of those things driving it here for professionals, and really is a good time to be hiring and have a selection of people who are out there looking and really looking for that great fit. So the types of people that you can find would hopefully be those that can really stick. They're going to move for a purpose, and they're going to be the people that should be really engaged with companies going forward.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for that, Alan. So we're going to dig into that specifically. Why are they changing a little bit? One of the things that is interesting here is that tech professionals are noting that they are in a toxic work environment. About 28% say that they work in a toxic work environment, and 21% say that that they are experiencing unfair pay, and those are causing burnout. Nearly 7 in 10 tech professionals would prefer to work for a tech company. In this case, when we say a tech company, what we're talking about is a company within the tech industry. There are a lot of tech professionals who work in other industries, and we absolutely include their voice in this survey. But 7 in 10 tech professionals prefer working for a tech company. This is a little bit surprising, considering the fact that most of the layoffs and a lot of the turmoil surrounding tech professionals' roles this year has been in tech. So despite the fact that is where that is coming from, they still want to stay in tech. And in fact, 21% of tech professionals prefer to work for big tech. And that's Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Google, things like that. And over to the right over here, you can see sort of a breakdown of demographic and what they're interested in regarding big tech. It is interesting to see that the older group, 55 plus of tech professionals, are much less interested in working in big tech. There's probably a lot of reasons for this, and speculating here, but potentially the reason for that is that older tech professionals are much more interested in a better work-life balance, and they're going to be a little bit less interested in a bigger brand or the kind of role that's going to be a good resume builder or things like that. So if you are a recruiter and you're looking to source tech professionals for a smaller company, keeping this in mind, keeping this bias in mind, and actively communicating your messaging so that the tech professional can resonate with the role that you're promoting is going to really help. And speaking sort of directly to that.
Yeah, I think there's a huge role there of how do you come up with, how do you frame your brand as a company hiring professionals that maybe plays into some of the things that are unique and different about the problems you'd be solving and the environment for you to solve those problems, especially if you're a non-tech company. What are those attributes of what professionals perceive in a tech company that are attractive to them that frankly may be there and maybe even stronger in a non-tech company? They just may not have that perception.
Yeah, and a couple things to point out from why tech professionals are looking to move from the slide earlier related to this, right? You can highlight things around job stability, how the business is performing, the leadership of the company, the types of problems that they're going to be working on. Maybe it isn't technically a tech company, but it's focused in an area that's mission driven, and that aligns to something that's really important to the tech professional. So there's a lot of ways that you can position those experiences in ways that will be attractive to tech professionals.
For sure. Yeah, and looking at 42% of tech professionals say that seeking greater responsibility is one of the reasons that they're seeking new roles. Keeping in mind that they're in a smaller organization, they're more likely to be able to do that. There's a little bit more mobility, there's a little bit more change and ownership that they can take in their role. So giving them that perspective as they're going through the job search is going to help you sell those smaller roles or roles in smaller companies. So awesome. A little bit about how HR professionals are feeling about the career change that tech professionals are undergoing. We've noted that hiring timelines have accelerated by 3 percentage points year over year. It's not a huge difference, but it is definitely an increase. This isn't surprising considering that more tech professionals are in the search right now. And there are fewer roles to fill. And in fact, 71% of HR professionals say that hiring for tech professionals is faster this year than it was years in the past. So seeing that increase in speed to hire is a really good thing for you, and it's a really good thing for the roles that you're trying to fill. We can compare this to tech employees and non-tech employees. So only 64% of HR professionals say that it is faster this year for non-tech employees. So it is definitely that's a pretty significant difference, and it is definitely faster to hire tech professionals right now than non-tech employees. Unfortunately, though, we are also seeing a higher attrition rate. So 60% of HR professionals report an increased attrition in 2024. So generally, we're just looking at a lot of turnover and a lot of change in your tech teams, which is going to lead to more change, and it's kind of a continuous thing. So keeping in mind that. So I would say some big takeaways from this. Most of the tech professionals that you reach out to cold are interested in a new role. And most of the tech professionals that you are reaching out to are experiencing some frustration in their current roles. And so you can really speak to work-life balance, higher compensation, a good company brand, and things like that to attract them. So awesome. Well, I would love to, so Pam and Alan and I are going to have a discussion about some of this data. We're going to talk about it in more in depth. So if anybody has any questions about this data specifically or about any of the conversations that Pam, Alan, and I are going to have, please feel free to leave a comment and we would be happy to address that. But so Pam, so I'm going to start with you, Alan. I have a question for you. What shifts have we seen in tech professional behavior in recent years, and what can recruiters learn from that? And to the audience, just a reminder, Alan leads the tech professional side of the DICE platform. So he is living and breathing what tech professionals are doing and their behavior every single day. And he's constantly thinking about it. So what can you tell us about tech professional behavior?
For sure. I mean, I think AI frames a lot of what's going on in the market today from two lenses. One is, the tech professionals are always upskilling. There's always new technologies to learn. There's always new things to get tapped into to stay relevant in your practice. AI has certainly escalated some of the skills that people need to become more fluent in. And then what does that mean for your role? How do you evolve your role? What skills do you learn? How do you learn them? And then also AI is important in changing how you search. And it's changing how companies reach out to professionals. It's also changing how professionals are conducting their searches and guiding their searches. So certainly interesting. The more that we see AI play that role and how it can be very helpful and efficient in coaching or discovery. There also can be some places where it can speed up the ability to engage and they still crave that human connection that is ultimately where this is landing. So how do you really vet out, maybe you can do some of the things faster, but how do you eventually get to those genuine conversations about where's my career going? How is this role going to help me move forward? And is this a fit for me?
Yeah, I mean, and I think we're seeing some really exciting good behavior of AI on the tech professional side, but we're also seeing some potentially harmful behavior of AI on the tech professional side. So I'm curious, Alan, if you could speak to some of the things that we've seen tech professionals do just across all of the whole job market, and yeah, what you would say to that.
For sure. I mean, certainly one of the ways AI, especially for those professionals that are used to using AI in helping automate processes, that is interesting is it could lead to more irrelevant, say, applications. If you have found a way to do some automated applying or something of that sort, you may be casting a wider net than what is ultimately as relevant as we'd like it to be. So that's one angle that it can be harder. I think though, just overall, it's an area that professionals there's still that craving that comes out of how do we have better conversations, because with more conversation or with more outreach that's happening, you kind of have that feeling of less responsiveness. And so the more that we can really give that responsiveness to professionals to validate where there's some fit, to explore some things, and even to give the feedback when there's not a fit, that really is helpful for them as they explore what's next.
Yeah. Pam, do you have any advice for recruiters who are preparing for 2025?
I'm going to sound probably like a broken record as we're talking today, but really at the end of the day, like the magic in recruiting is around relationship building, right? So when you're thinking about putting the job posting up, right? Is the job posting going to attract the right candidates that you want to engage in a conversation in? If you're searching in databases and reaching out to folks, are you aligning what they're looking for with what that job has, right? And then how do you keep them updated, especially for those that are applying, around how they're performing or how they're moving through the process or not? And how do you stay engaged there? Technologists really don't want to feel like a number at the end of the day. And just because they might not be the right fit for this particular role, they might be a great fit for other roles in the future. And so building those relationships when you have highly skilled technologists coming through is really, really key. I anticipate, we probably are going to see some more movement based off of what we're seeing in this tech sentiment report coming into 2025. And so I know that that work takes time, and it can be tough to take the time to do that work if things are moving a lot faster in that environment. But it's something that really can help in the future if you already have these relationships built. When you end up having a role, you could have some people on a bench already that are ready coming into that role to make your life easier as well.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing around AI is that it's giving, as you're reaching out to professionals, it can make it easier to reach out to a lot of people. But the more that, again, you can personalize that to, this is what the role brings. And Dice has great information that our members are filling out in their profile of what they're looking for in terms of the role, their salary expectations, their work flexibility, what types of situations are they looking for, what skills do they have, and really deeply considering that from their resume and reaching out the more you can one-on-one. AI can help you maybe customize the message or tailor it faster. So I think AI is an expediter, but ultimately you're getting to that real conversation of, okay, is this in their best interest, and is this something that's going to really pull them in to something that you're offering?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, Alan, you started talking along this route, but I'm curious, is there anything that you wish recruiters knew more about tech professionals?
Yeah, I think the thing that professionals, again, there's just some frustration out there with having more people looking this year, but less roles than have been historically posted. There are a lot of professionals that are just frustrated, and so some of them still get some irrelevant outreach in their network, and on some platforms. So they're really looking for something that's going to be relevant and something that's actually where they actually start to have those conversations that actually show a path to something great of what they're looking for next. So those themes kind of keep running through, and continuing to get the feedback of where they need to be upskilling, and the kinds of things that's going to lead to is another piece of the advice we're trying to surface to them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We had a question from Kevin. Kevin said, most people are saying the job market is cooling down, not only in tech, but in other areas. What are your thoughts on this? And Kevin, I'll quickly answer you with some questions, but he did direct this at our speakers. So Alan and Pam, I'm going to give some numbers. So while I'm doing that, you can think about your answers, but I want to make sure you guys have a chance to speak to this. But I will say, Kevin, we actually saw a pretty key improvement in the month of September. Tech unemployment was 3.4%, but now it's down to 2.5%, which is much lower than the benchmark of overall unemployment. And there's actually, compared to September of last year, there are 19.3% more tech jobs available on the market. So that is, yes, it has been a really rough couple of years for tech hiring, and we've seen some cooling, especially from where it was in 2021. But there are signs that it is getting better and that it's heating up again. Pam and Alan, I'm curious if you guys have any answer to that.
That was exactly what I was going to say, Bailey. So great job. I would just add that in a normal year, which I feel like we really haven't had a normal year since 2020, but in a normal year, we do tend to see some slowdown coming into the end of the year around the holidays. But as Bailey mentioned, September was pretty darn strong. So, we keep watching those trends to see how things move forward. But it's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. We're getting a lot of questions, and I'm going to keep us moving in our discussion, but I'm going to just, to those of you who have asked us questions, we will absolutely get to your questions in the Q&A. And just today we're talking specifically to tech recruiters, hiring managers, anybody on the hiring side of the tech job market. But there are some tech professionals asking us questions in this, and I want to keep you guys on. Please stay on, because we do have some experts on the call that can specifically speak to you. But in the interest of staying on topic, we'll stick with our conversation to recruiters, but please stay on because I want to get to your questions. So just kind of like, that's my hook. Please stay. But I'm curious, both of you, both of you guys how do you both see the increasing trend of tech professionals planning career changes, reshaping the relationship between the recruiters and the job seekers? As like Pam just said, it's been a really strange for the last 4 years. Things in the hiring in the job market are changing. How do you see the relationship between recruiters and job seekers changing?
I think one thing that's interesting as the market has become harder for some professionals to find what they're looking for is growing greater awareness of trying to find those recruiters who are really out there to help coach them in how to present themselves. And again, kind of find those opportunities that they may not have realized. There's so many roles that, in a market where there were so many more higher roles posted, you could do a little bit more of just try to put the feelers out there, and you were likely to get some nibbles. Now it's good to try to find somebody who can be an advocate for you and really help coach you in how to present yourself, how to tell your story, and just even provide some of the perspective of how your experience may translate to some of the things they're seeing in the market today. So I feel like the role of a value-added recruiter is alive and very much recognized by more and more professionals.
Yeah. And again, pointing back to the importance of that relationship, right? Like as we move into next year, we're seeing more of this movement that technologists are signaling, right? We're going to probably see more applies, more signals that technologists are looking. So there's going to be more activity and information coming through the different platforms and systems. We think about this at Dice a lot in terms of how can we automate tasks and integrate workflows and streamline your process to really save you time, especially when there is a lot of activity happening in the market. So we do have a handful of features that help out in those areas, and we'll continue to be thinking about those things, especially as things are getting busier.
Yeah, Galena asked a really good question specifically related to what you just said, Pam. And I'm curious if you have anything else that comes off your top of your head. What tools or technology are the most promising in terms of personalizing outreach and making it better fitting tech professionals' expectations and skills?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, I can speak to a couple of things that we're providing through Dice, and then Alan, maybe you have some ideas as well around some of the other tools that we have, but broadly in the market. So we within Dice, we're focused on helping you drive engagement between tech professionals and you. And so we recently released a recruiter mobile app that helps you on the go keep those communications going. In terms of making sure that the connections are happening nicely between you and tech professionals, we also have an invite to apply feature. So if you've posted a job, we'll recommend the candidates that we think are the highest connection to or skilled, based primarily on skills, to that particular role. And then we have suggested text in there, but you should definitely personalize that suggested text to reach out to those and tech professionals and invite them to apply to the position. That's an example of just a really nice personal touch to help kind of reduce some of the nervousness barrier that there might be, and to start engaging in a conversation with someone who maybe is passively, not really actively looking, or maybe didn't find that particular role. And so we have other things like tech professionals can express interest and say, hey, I'm interested in this job. And that is signaling that they're not quite ready to apply, but they'd be open to have a conversation around it as well. So we're doing a mix of helping to give you targeted signals while also helping to tailor some of the comms, but you always want to personalize those messages so that the person that you're reaching out to really feels like you understand what their skills are, and we're ready to start that initial conversation about what they might be looking for in their next role.
And then I think building on top of those tools, we just had our annual hackathon this past week here at the company. And what's really exciting is watching some of the proof of concepts we started to see around how we can use things like AI and put that on top of the really rich Dice profile information that we have. The combination of resumes plus those really ideal job and ideal company attributes that our professionals have in their Dice profile. And then you can take that and map it to the job and your company attributes and really start to tell a story that, again, you want to customize and personalize a bit. But AI does a great job of summarizing some of those things for you, and can really make that outreach particularly strong compared to what we have historically seen of just kind of a template outreach to the, that's the same to everybody. So those kinds of things are really exciting to me. And I think also just the ability to some of our features like our instant messaging, which is even easier to access with that new mobile app that Pam spoke about, as well as our connections and private email features, just give you a lot of range of ways that you can connect with people. But it's definitely good to know that we continue to see the sentiment that professionals by far prefer their outreach through one of those email or instant message channels compared to phone or text. So that's still also a good angle to how do you do the outreach, and then how do you personalize it?
Yeah. Yeah, one theme I'm seeing in a lot of the content about recruiting and a lot of advice that I'm seeing from expert recruiters is remember that the goal for a recruiter is to build a good connection and to you're a human meeting humans and drawing those connections. But there are so many tools and so many use cases where AI and not even AI, but other tools can do a lot of the busy work behind the scenes and do a lot of the sourcing of information and collaborating, comparing job postings and comparing job postings to resumes and trying to understand what a role is to help you so that when you get to the point where you are interacting with a tech professional, you can really focus on how you connect with them as a human. They have the soft skills that you're looking for and things like that. So I think there's so much out there for you, Galina. And I think that it's really great to see what Pam and Alan have said about what we've been working on in the DICE platform. Awesome. Well, we are at time, but I'm curious, Alan, just one more question for you coming up in comments, and we'll go over time just to give an opportunity here. But do you have any advice to tech professionals who are working through their careers right now? There's a lot of change. There's a lot of education opportunities and program opportunities, and just a lot of questions about balancing all of the many different responsibilities that they have. Where would you start if you were a tech professional like Christopher, who is looking to get into the field but isn't quite sure where to begin?
Yeah, I definitely think there are plenty of opportunities out there for self-learning and that can really guide you toward some of the angles that could be interesting. So I would look at a lot of take some of the things that you think are most transferable from your skill set. Look at some of the things that are interesting to you and that you feel you have some aptitude for, and where do those overlap the job descriptions that you're seeing out there. So that's, I think, one of the ways that you can really get a sense of how you might learn a couple key things or demonstrate some of the things you do know. There's also assessment tools out there that you can take or certifications that you can post that can further, strengthen your resume in terms of how you appear out there. So those are all good ways to kind of get your feet into that a little bit further. And we'll continue to provide a ton of analysis in our career advice section that looks at those trending skills, some of those transferable skills, and definitely is a great way to go out there and get a sense for what the market's shifting toward.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Alan. Great. Well, thank you both for joining me today. Thank you for this great discussion. There's lots more deeper under the surface that we did not get a chance to talk about. And I appreciate our audience for being so engaged and for asking some great questions. Please do check out the Tech Sentiment Report. We have way more data there about what's going on in the tech talent market today. And of course, always feel free to reach out to DICE if you have any questions about what is going on and how we can help you. And we would love to chat. So thank you all so much for joining.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.